You step outside into the crisp morning air, holding a scoop of premium black oil sunflower seeds. You pour them into your backyard feeder, and almost instantly, a tiny black-capped bird swoops down to a nearby branch. It looks right at you and lets out a sharp, enthusiastic chickadee. You smile. You feel like a Disney princess. You think this adorable little creature is saying thank you for the breakfast. But you are dead wrong. That bird is not thanking you. It is screaming at you. And the message it is sending to the rest of the forest is something you never expected. Welcome back. Today we are diving into the hidden, highly complex, and slightly terrifying psychology of backyard birds. Specifically, we are looking at the black-capped chickadee. These birds weigh less than a slice of bread. They look like tiny, harmless puffballs. Because of their small size and their bold willingness to fly right up to us, we have completely misunderstood their behavior for generations. As humans, we suffer from a severe case of anthropogenic projection. That is a fancy scientific term that means we project human emotions onto wild animals. We desperately want to believe that the natural world operates on our social rules. We want to believe that when we provide food, the animals feel gratitude. We expect reciprocity. But nature does not care about your feelings. Nature cares about survival, caloric intake, and threat assessment. And to survive the brutal realities of the wild, the chickadee has developed one of the most sophisticated communication systems in the entire animal kingdom. Once you understand what they are actually saying, you will never look at your bird feeder the same way again. Let us set the scene. It is early winter. The temperature is dropping, and food is becoming incredibly scarce. The chickadees in your neighborhood have mapped out every single viable food source within a 10-mile radius. In fact, these birds undergo a physical transformation every autumn. They experience a phenomenon called neurogenesis, where their hippocampus physically expands. This is the part of the brain responsible for spatial memory, allowing them to remember thousands of individual hiding spots for seeds. They know your daily schedule. They know exactly when you wake up. They know the exact minute the feeder gets topped off. When you open your back door, they are already watching you from the safety of the upper canopy. But here is where it gets dangerous. Your backyard is a war zone. When you fill that feeder, you are creating a massive, unnatural concentration of resources. And in the wild, a concentration of resources means an inevitable concentration of predators. Hawks, feral cats, and owls all know that your bird feeder is an all-you-can-eat buffet, and the songbirds are the main course. You are fundamentally altering the local ecosystem just by offering a free meal. So when you step out with your little scoop of seeds, the chickadee swoops down and initiates its famous call. Chickadee. Most people assume this is a cheerful gathering call, a dinner bell for the rest of the flock to come and eat. But scientists have spent years analyzing the acoustic structure of this specific vocalization, and the truth is much darker. The chickadee call is actually a highly advanced, predator-specific alarm system. This next part is what nobody wants to admit about their backyard birdwatching hobby. When that bird looks at you and screams, it is identifying you as a potential apex predator. You are a giant, lumbering beast stepping into their territory. They do not know if you are there to feed them or kill them. The call is a warning broadcast to every other living creature within earshot. But it is not just a generic panic button. It is a highly precise, mathematically encoded message. To prove this, researchers at the University of Washington, led by biologist Christopher Templeton, conducted a groundbreaking study. They placed various stuffed predators in an aviary with live chickadees and meticulously recorded their reactions. They used everything from a tiny pygmy owl to a massive great horned owl. They also included non-threatening birds like quail, just to establish a baseline. What they discovered completely shattered our understanding of bird communication. The chickadees did not just scream blindly into the void. They actively changed the syntax of their call based on the exact threat level of the predator in front of them. Here is how the code actually works. The call is made up of 4 distinct acoustic notes, labeled by scientists as A, B, C, and D notes. The famous D sound at the end is the D note. Templeton found that the number of D notes directly corresponds to how dangerous the predator is. A great horned owl is huge and relatively slow. It relies on stealth and darkness. During the day, it is not agile enough to catch a tiny darting chickadee in mid-air. So when the Chickadees saw the great horned owl, they only added 1 or 2 D notes to their call. It was a low-level warning. It was the bird equivalent of saying, "Hey guys, there is a big slow predator over here, just keep an eye out and stay away from the lower branches." But the pygmy owl is a completely different story. The pygmy owl is small, incredibly fast, and hunts small songbirds for a living. It is the ultimate chickadee assassin. When the researchers revealed the pygmy owl, the Chickadees absolutely lost their minds. They added 5, 10, sometimes even 12 D notes to the end of their call. Chick-a-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. It was a massive, high-alert siren. The translation was clear. Extreme danger. Lethal threat. Mobilize immediately. So think about that the next time you walk out to your patio. If the bird gives you a short 2D call, it recognizes you as a giant, clumsy mammal that probably cannot catch it. But if it rattles off 5 or 6 Ds, it is genuinely terrified of your sudden movements. You are triggering its deepest, most primal survival instincts. You are the monster in their horror movie. But the chickadee alarm system does not just warn other chickadees. These tiny birds are the sentinels of the forest. They serve as the official neighborhood watch for the entire woodland community. Because they are so incredibly vigilant and have such excellent eyesight, dozens of other bird species rely entirely on the chickadee to stay alive. Newthatches, titmice, woodpeckers, and finches all actively listen to the chickadee frequencies. They understand the code. When the chickadee sounds a high-level alarm, the entire forest reacts in unison. Birds of all species will freeze in place or dive deep into the thorn bushes for cover. And this leads to a fascinating and chaotic survival tactic called mobbing. When a high-threat predator is spotted, the chickadees do not just hide in fear. They use the alarm call to summon an army. Birds of all different species will emerge from the trees and swarm the predator. They will dive at its head, scream constantly, and harass it from every angle until the predator gets frustrated and flies away. The chickadee is the field commander directing this interspecies warfare. Your cute little backyard visitor is actually a tactical genius leading a resistance movement. Now, let us pause for a second. I want you to really think about this. Why does this matter? Why do we care so much about whether a bird is saying thank you or sounding an alarm? This brings us to a psychological mirror moment. We are constantly trying to humanize the wild. We buy beautiful, expensive feeders, we spend hundreds of dollars on premium seed blends, and we construct a comforting emotional narrative where we are the benevolent caretakers of nature. We want to be loved by the wild. We want that Disney princess moment because modern human life is incredibly stressful and disconnected from the natural world. We crave a pure, innocent bond with these creatures. We use them to soothe our own anxieties. But true respect for nature means taking off our human-tinted glasses. It means respecting these animals for the ruthless, highly intelligent, and wildly capable survivors that they actually are. They do not need to be our friends to be worthy of our profound admiration. The fact that a creature the size of a golf ball can encode predator wingspan, velocity, and threat potential into a phonetic language is infinitely more impressive than a simple thank you. We need to stop projecting our need for validation onto wild ecosystems. But here's where it gets even more complicated for the birds. By putting out that feeder, you are artificially manipulating their environment. You are drawing them out of the safety of the deep forest and into the open, exposed air of your manicured lawn. You are forcing them into an unnatural density, which absolutely attracts real lethal predators. The sharp-shinned hawk sitting quietly on your fence is watching the feeder just as closely as you are. So when you fill it up and the chickadee starts screaming, it is not just reacting to you. It is scanning the entire perimeter, utilizing 1,000,000 years of evolutionary programming to make sure the flock survives the morning feeding frenzy. You have built an ecological battlefield, and the chickadee is just trying to keep everyone alive in the crossfire. The world around us is filled with invisible conversations, secret acoustic codes, and high-stakes drama happening right in our own backyards. We just have to be willing to listen and learn the real language of the wild. The black-capped chickadee is not your tiny, grateful friend. It is a battle-hardened sentinel, a master of acoustics, and the undisputed neighborhood watch commander of the forest ecosystem. And honestly, that is so much cooler than a simple thank you. If you want to keep decoding the hidden psychology of the animal kingdom and learn the absolute truth about the creatures living right under your nose, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Leave a comment below with what animal behavior you want us to analyze next. Stay curious, stay observant, and I will see you in the next video.